recognize it. There's a lot of apologists for silly behavior out there that just want to act like it's not there, so they don't bump any shoulders, so they don't ruffle any feathers, and they can get along. They can go along to get along. But that, at the end of the day, man, will cause fighters of great talent, of great skill, who've worked very hard and done everything that they need to do. That will allow them to be sacrificed in the name of your comfort and your ability to maneuver in your future endeavors. I think we're seeing that type of situation arise with Devin Haney. I had thought that this was type of stuff that was going to happen, but let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. Like I said in the intro into the video, Devin Haney's father, Bill Haney, excellent man. Sounds like a great guy. Never met him personally. Listened to him speak a bunch of times. I don't think he's the biggest fan of mine, but I think the guy is a tremendous person as far as it goes. Everything I've seen about him, the way that he relates to his son, the way that these guys are business minded and are, have a set of goal for themselves from early in Devin Haney's career, and early in his life, it seems like, all the way through now, where this guy is trying to accomplish the stuff, and he is accomplishing great things. But when Bill Haney says Devin can't get fights at 135, so we're gonna move to 140 to fight Mikey Garcia, that's the beginning of a pattern that you see repeat itself throughout boxing. It is when an excellent fighter, right, that is so good at one weight class, at a smaller weight class, extremely good at a smaller weight class, say 135, is good enough where the top level guys don't want to fight him. They can be frozen out and then gradually forced to move up in weight to fight guys that eventually they start having size disadvantages against. They start having it where they could be spectacular at a smaller weight class. They wind up getting pushed into bigger weight classes where many of their attributes and many of their skills don't transition just because of the sheer size and strength of the people that they start fighting. Now, Devin Haney moving, and I said this, so everybody in the LDBC, everybody listens to my videos, I told you this was going to pop off with Devin Haney. I told you. These fights with Devin Haney, I didn't even think that the fight between Tank Davis and Devin Haney were going to happen, because because Devin Haney is a big guy and he's a strong and excellent fighter, and Gervonta Davis is a smaller fighter than he is. He's going to be at 135, and they're not going to fight Devin Haney. They're going to have Devin Haney go up. They'll say, why? Devin Haney going to have to move up to 140. So Devin Haney now can fight the likes of a Mikey Garcia, a Regis Prograis, a Josh Taylor, a Jose Ramirez, right? You see these things happen. And typically you see that happen when you have guys that are not represented by a major promotional company that really and truly has their back. Okay, that really and truly has their back. But let me give you a couple of examples of fighters that are terrific fighters that got put in that type of situation where they had to fight guys at bigger weight classes that they would have a harder time getting wins against. One, for example, is back in the late 1960s, in the early 1970s, a guy named Bob Foster, the Sheriff, at 175 pounds, one of the greatest, if not the greatest light heavyweight to ever fight, the Sheriff Bob Foster. But there's not a lot of money at 175 pounds. So in order to make like career type of money, he had to move up to heavyweight, and was actually gifted behind whoopings, and I mean gifted behind whoopings, from Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali, because Muhammad Ali was like, you need to make that money. Hey, I'll come up. I'll give you a fight. Now we all know, similar to Jess Willard and not Jess Willard, one of the funniest fights ever to me was Jack Johnson versus Stanley Ketchel, where Stanley Ketchel tried to get cute. They agreed that they wouldn't punch. The Stanley Ketchel, it was just going to be a light exhibition, right? They could both make money. And then Stanley Ketchel saw an opening and cheated and flew off on Jack Dempsey, knocked Jack Dempsey down, but then Jack Dempsey jumped up and busted his whole teeth out, knocked his, it was crazy, man. So that particular situation, like where a little guy to get big money has to go fight a bigger guy. I saw what one of my favorite fighters, Kasim Uma. Kasim Uma he's fought at 154 pounds. But really the guy with any decent shedding weight could have weighed 147 pounds. And he was fighting around the same time that there was I think Oscar De La Hoya was still at 147 pounds, or he was around that weight class. I think that might have been around the time Floyd Mayweather Jr. and those guys were going up to 147 pounds. But Kasim Uma, who wound up losing to Gennady Golovkin at 160, was really a guy, in my estimation, that was a 147 pounder that couldn't get a fight at 147. So he had to start at 154, really couldn't make a lot of money at 154. So eventually he had to be up at 160. And when it was his time to get his shot, it was against Gennady Golovkin, a very big, very strong, and at the time, very fresh, full-fledged 160 pounder. And Kasim Uma winds up being a name on his record. I told people before that what I thought was going to happen, and people were like, no, it's not going to be at welterweight. No, I'm telling you. If Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney are going to fight, it's going to wind up being a fight that takes place at welterweight. It's going to be a situation where Ryan Garcia, who's got a very tall, very long frame, has already filled all the way out. He's already earned all the money and had all the fights he could have at 135 and 140 to blow his name up. And he's already established himself. And if Devin Haney is able to hang around that long and, fighting and beating extremely tough guys like Mikey Garcia, right? Like a Mikey Garcia, like a Regis Prograis, like those type of guys who Devin Haney will not have power advantages over. If he's able to navigate those seas, then you'll see him up there like a Floyd Mayweather Jr. Floyd Mayweather Jr., a lot of people get on Floyd Mayweather Jr. about the fights that he had, in the last half is on that Showtime contract, right? Where it's like, oh, he was just cherry picking this guy, that guy. No, man, well, maybe he was at that point in time, but do not forget the early Floyd Mayweather Jr., who was put in extremely tough against guys that people thought were going to beat him. Like small amount of fights in, he's fighting Gennaro Hernandez. He's fighting Diego Corrales. He's moving up. First fight at lightweight, he's thrown in with Jose Luis Castillo. And this is now, and watch, in order to get to the point where Floyd Mayweather Jr. got accolades and got the money that he needed and was getting the respect, how high did he have to go up before that happened? He literally, in order to get the name recognition and things, he had to not only leave Top Rank, he also had to force himself up to several weight classes above where he was at his optimal best. And it was he was able to show how great he is by achieving that, but that's still the path that he went through. And Devin Haney, the great Devin Haney is going to be a great, great fighter if he can deal with the fact that they are going to play those games with him. He is going to be put in a situation where he's going to have to beat guys that are bigger than him, guys who are stronger than him. And hopefully he'll be able to do that in a way and adjust in his boxing skills and his own talent will be able to accomplish that. But I never saw a guy like Devin Haney being able to be put in a situation where he could fight a little old champion, right? A little old champion who still has great name recognition and a great reputation as being the best fighter in the world. And you see what happened when he got himself into the position to fight that guy. They moved Lomachenko into the franchise championship. So, and Devin Haney was then now the champion, but he never got the opportunity to beat him. The opportunity for Devin Haney to prove himself in the ring and get to that level is going to have to come at a higher weight class. I was saying it the whole time, and I think what Bill Haney said in this particular in that particular statement is a recognition of the same fact that he recognized. I'm not saying he got it because he listened to me or anything, and that's a shame. And people should call that out. People should talk about the WBC and that franchise champion. They should talk about how quickly, how long it was that the WBC and the WBA allowed Keith Thurman off his multiple injuries to keep his championship belts, right? Even though he wasn't fighting. The WBC well over a year. You had Mikey Garcia, who was down at lightweight, didn't defend his lightweight championship for over a year. But Devin Haney gets a little bit of an injury. All of a sudden, nope, you can't be the champion. Now, who is going to be fighting for it? It's going to be Luke Campbell. Luke Campbell, who now will have his third shot at a lightweight championship. His third. Luke Campbell lost an opportunity against Jorge Linares. Luke Campbell lost an opportunity against Vasily Lomachenko. And now he's going to be fighting Javier Fortuna for that same belt. And he had 2 fights where he actually got to fight for it in the ring against fighters with great reputations. Did Eddie Hearn give that type of opportunity to Devin Haney? No, he did not. And I doubt very much that without some very, very, some real things coming together, that it's going to happen for him under Eddie Hearn. He'll make a lot of money, and I'm happy they don't make a lot of money, but he's not going to be a top priority for Eddie Hearn as a promoter. You see that with Demetrius Andrade. You saw it with Demetrius Andrade and Eddie Hearn. You see it with who's the other? You've seen it with Demetrius Andrade and Eddie Hearn. You've seen it with Billy Joe Saunders. Well, not Billy Joe Saunders, but Daniel Jacobs. Daniel Jacobs got one fight, but then was allowed to fight some steroid abuser, I think they were hoping was going to be a setup with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. But you don't see. They're not making the fights for those guys. You see it with Dillian White too in the situation with Tyson Fury. But anyway, it is what it is. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.